Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy again, here to tell you about animal diversity. Now, animal diversity sounds like a hard word, but basically it just means we have a lot of animals and they all have important jobs to do. So on this video, we're going to learn about a few unusual animals and some that you might see every single day. And we're going to learn about the jobs that they do for us and how they keep our ecosystem nice and balanced. Now, the animals that were supposed to be the star of this introduction, besides me, they're not really cooperating. So let me show you who is supposed to be in the video. It's our Patagonian cavies. And there they are, cute as a button. So let's go find some animals and animal diversity. Wow, animals are tall, short, bright, colorful, cute, ugly, scary, gentle, hairy, bald, big, small, sharp teeth, flat teeth, scaly, slimy, smooth, rough, dry, wet. Animals are so diverse in how they look and behave. They are just as diverse in the habitats they're from, but they all have something in common, and that is the job that they do for us. That job is to keep our ecosystems in check and in balance. So let's look in detail about just a few animals and their features. We're going to talk about the diversity in molting in the invertebrate world. Now, molting can kind of be like shedding in a reptile, but it's very different because an invertebrate doesn't have a backbone. They have an exoskeleton instead. So that's kind of like wearing their bones on the outside of their body. So when they outgrow that exoskeleton, they molt the entire exoskeleton. So that's like molting your bones. That's just crazy, and it's hard. This is Ocho, our tarantula, and she is molting her exoskeleton. On the right is her old exoskeleton, and she is kind of popped out of that. And on the left, she's exercising her legs, trying to move that new exoskeleton. Isn't that amazing? Next up, we have a cockroach. Everybody loves cockroaches. He's actually a wide-horned hisser. His name is Big Daddy, and Big Daddy is about 4 years old, so he is too old to molt. He has stopped growing, but when he did molt, it comes off the entire exoskeleton and it looks a little bit of like a shell of his body, similar to the cicadas that molt on our tree trunks. And all of his little legs are left behind, his old legs, his old antennas, everything. It's pretty amazing. I think this next molt is one of my favorites. Remember the ivory millipede? Here they are when they molt. Look at the detail, every single leg, the antenna, of course the entire exoskeleton comes off. The reddish part is the old exoskeleton and the brownish part is the brand new exoskeleton. So all are a little bit different, but doing the same thing, getting rid of that old exoskeleton and getting fresh exoskeleton. Let's talk reptile shedding. Now, reptiles outgrow their skin just like you would outgrow your clothes. And they shed their skin kind of like you would take your socks off. But it depends on the reptile and how they shed. Now, our bearded dragon sheds his skin in kind of flakes of skin, almost like we shed our skin, except in larger flakes. But the snake sheds differently. That's where the shed, the old skin, comes off from the head all the way down to the tail. So this is a little video of Lola the boa shedding her skin. So when they're shedding, you know that they're getting enough to eat, they're healthy, and they're growing, and they're getting rid of that old skin and getting a fresh new skin when they shed. But you notice they're not shedding any body parts. They're only shedding their skin. So that's why it's a shed and not a molt. Our reptiles are vertebrates. They do have a backbone. It's time for one of my favorite animal groups, the turtles and tortoises. These guys have great personalities. Now this is a common snapping turtle that just came out of our pond, and I had the opportunity to film him right quick, or probably her right quick, before she went back into our pond. More than likely, this little girl has come out to lay eggs because it is that time of year. It's spring. Now I know she's a common snapping turtle because she doesn't have those ridges on her back. And why is she a turtle? Is it because she's in the water? No, it's not because of that. It's because of what she eats. Common snapping turtles eat a little bit of everything. Of course they eat meat. They'll catch some ducklings or some fish, but they also eat vegetation. So they eat a little bit of everything. That's why they're a turtle and not a tortoise. Now this is a tortoise. This is Rambo, our resident sulcata tortoise, and he loves to take walks in the grass because that's what he loves to eat. And that's why he's a tortoise, because he eats grass and no meat. And this little guy is the last of our turtle tortoise group. This is a box turtle. They're in your backyard. They love to eat lots of bugs, grasses, and berries. So that's why a box turtle is a box turtle, because they eat everything. But they cannot swim. So now you know the difference between turtles and tortoises. Let's continue to look at how animals eat and what they eat to balance out their ecosystem. This is Apple. She's a dagu, a South American rodent, and they eat lots of grasses in South America, and then they poop the seeds out to help disperse the seeds. Pretty helpful. And this is Kermit. He's an African bullfrog. When we first got him, he was the size of a quarter. And he loves to eat insects. Now he's 2 years old. He's about the size of an average hand, and he's just getting bigger. Frogs are very helpful in our ecosystem. They keep down the bug population, and we appreciate that. One more video on how animals eat. Here's Zeph showing us how raptors grab their food. Animals move in different ways depending upon how their bodies are made, if they have tails or no tails, if they have webbed feet or toes without webbing. Here's our rat climbing, using those adorable legs, and of course the tail for balance. And then we have Roo, our Brahma rooster. He takes very determined steps. He doesn't feel very threatened right now, so he's very relaxed in his movement. And then we have an animal that's sitting quite still right now, but the green iguana can be very fast. They've got long toenails in order to climb up trees in the rainforest. And there's the little Russian tortoise munching on some grass. So she tends to move slow when she's relaxed, but if she's scared of something, she can move pretty fast. Here are a few Muscovy ducks again. They communicate with that hissing sound, but they're moving in a very relaxed fashion. So they must be having a casual conversation. And here's Boss Swan moving pretty slow. Remember, we said mute swans could paddle up to 2 miles an hour. So he's pretty relaxed right now using those webbed feet just to kind of cruise around the pond. And here we have Hitch, the fish crow. We all know how he gets around with his wings. Apparently he's feeling pretty lazy right now and just using his legs. Now, our guinea pigs tend to be pretty still when they don't have to move around a lot because they're a prey animal and they want to blend in more. And then we have the snakes. Snakes are pretty awesome to watch move. They have all of those muscles and scales to help them move. And of course, they have a backbone with lots of ribs in there, so that skeleton also helps them to move as well. This is Sunshine, our Florida king snake. Now here's Lola the boa out in the grass. Now, snakes are predators, but they're also prey. So if they're out in the open like this, they feel a little threatened and they know something could easily fly down and grab them. So sometimes they're really still when they're out in the open like this. She's flicking her tongue, she's smelling the world around her, and you'll hear the guineas in the background warning everyone there's a snake. Now let's look at all the movements that Mo the porcupine is going to show us. Right now, he's cool, calm, and collected. He's looking for food. He's foraging, so he's nice and relaxed. He's using that great sense of smell to find the food that he has. Now, out in the wild, he would be more on alert because it's more dangerous out in the wild. But here, he knows he's perfectly safe, and he's showing that in his body language and in his movement. I personally like to watch his eyes as they go in and out every time he chews. Now this video is play. Now, can you imagine a porcupine running away from something they're scared of? They could probably run pretty fast because Mo runs fast when he plays. I call these porcupine zoomies. He gets them a couple of times a week, especially in cooler weather, and he loves to run. This is a joyful movement for a porcupine. Now we all remember King Julian and how he can strut and look handsome, but have you ever seen a turkey dance? This is a turkey's mating dance. Of course, for a majority of birds, soaring is their main way of movement. Don't you love to watch a bird soar? And here's an animal movement you don't see every day. It's millipedes flirting with one another. I guess that's how we got the millipede babies. You know, some animals fly, some animals run. Some animals are small, some are big, some are red, some are green, some are adorable, and some are comical. Some are fuzzy feathery, and others have a big tooth. Some have a dewlap, and others are plump. And still others are, well, just great. But no matter what, all animals have a big job to do. There's so much diversity in the animal kingdom. Will you look for animals today?